I guess to set this up, I used to be vaguely aware of this person on the internet called Sargon of Akkad, and how I got sort of like, I guess, introduced to some Sargon of Akkad was I followed a lot of, I want to say, atheist or skeptic YouTube content back around the, like, I want to say 2012 period at some point. And I would never, like, YouTube was always recommending a bunch of shit to me, and I almost never would have paid any attention to it. If not for the fact that I had one class, it was a fourth year sociology class, and I'm sitting there, and I had mentioned I can't remember the context, but I remember mentioning that homeopathy isn't real, doesn't work. It's just bullshit, or whatever. And a colleague in that classroom said to me that, no, you're wrong, and the only reason that I don't, or that you think, and you being me, that homeopathy doesn't work is because you're white, male, Eurocentric, etc., etc. And so that moment, I like, it hit me, and then I was just like, what a silly thing to say to me. And it was, I think, like a day or two after that, YouTube recommended me one of his, what is it called? It was kind of like Laughing at Feminists, or what was the name of the video series?
This Week in Stupid.
No, it was like, you know how, like, I think it was Thunderfoot used to have a series called, like, Why Do People Laugh at Creationists? And I think initially, before he had This Week in Stupid, it was Why Do People Laugh at Feminists, I think was the segment. And I remember watching, like, one video and having, like, an instant of, like, yeah, we're weird feminists, because I had this one bad experience. But then, like, when I would watch, like, the second or third video, like, it was very early. Like, I'm talking in a matter of days, and I was just like, this Carl guy is not cool. And I don't know what it is about me specifically that didn't send me down a spiral. I sometimes reflect, like, if I just was, like, slightly less of a leftist back then or something, like, maybe I would have been one of those people that would go down the dark slide into what did they call it? The alt-right pipeline or whatever it was.
I can kind of explain it because I actually did go that way because of that guy.
You did go for it. Tell us, everyone. This is and we actually, I will say before you go off, Nick, that we met because you used to have a channel where you made a video criticizing Sargon, and that was actually how we met.
Yeah. So I'll go into my channel after my explanation of, like, how I got into Sargon and stuff. The reason why I got into Sargon and things is because I think a factor of it was that, you know, I went through a tough breakup with someone, and I wanted to find some answers as to why I'm being treated like badly, or maybe my behavior wasn't exactly great either. But, like, it's just that a lot of people who went into Sargon had that sort of mentality of, like, I'm a victim of a bad relationship, and Sargon gave sort of, like, a voice to people who felt that way, and then abused their perspective and warped it into anti-feminism. I think a lot of people who are in that community have come from that sort of, like, area. And then also you've got the interest and skepticism movement that was behind that, which I was into much before Sargon. And
well, that's the same
Sargon
thing with me. Well, I just want to put a pin in that because, like, I now sadly never sort of, like, self-identify as skeptics because people like Sargon ruined that term for me. Even though, like, my activism, like, I cut my teeth activism wise on, like, activism against, like, alternative medicine or shit like that, right? And that was called skepticism back then. But these people, like, took the mantle of skepticism but made it like, we're skeptical against feminism and trans people. And yeah,
that's the thing though. They treated feminism like they had the same sort of like methodology and approach towards like religion when they just don't match up. And even their like treatment of religion was a bit absolutist as well. If we're honest and we look back at it, like they had
yeah,
this like attitude and take where like all people under this religion because of X, Y, and said like I came away from it like going, well, because the book says this, then they must believe it, and that was kind of like the whole skeptic movement at the time. Whereas, you know, there's a lot of people from like there's a spectrum, like everything's a spectrum. Learning like growing up, like there's everything's a spectrum. So like you could get like people who follow it to the letter, or people who just associate that because of their community. And that was never taught in the skeptics sphere. It was like it had to be everyone believed in everyone believed in this because of the book said so, and that's what they were critiquing.
yeah.
There was no like gray area or like wiggle room. But anyway, just go back a little bit for the like my introduction to Sargon. I came across this channel because of like there was a crossover between religion and stuff, but I from Sargon's critiques, it was mostly him riffing off what Thunderfoot has said previously towards
Yeah.
Anita Sarkeesian, and he admits that.
I wonder,
And so
did he have content like prior to Thunderfoot doing videos on Anita? And for those who aren't familiar, well, Thunderfoot was like a atheist science type person online until he turned into like mostly an anti-feminist content creator. And he turned right when this Anita Sarkeesian made their it was feminism in gaming, and so she was like criticizing video games from her own feminist perspective, and a lot of like just people online, mostly white men, completely lost their shit about it. Like, how dare how dare you talk about women, or how dare you talk about video games when you're a feminist? And yeah, and so then that's basically Thunderfoot started making that videos, and you're saying Sargon sort of like latched onto that and sort of like
yeah, he latched onto the skeptic community, and people would lump him in that because of he was doing sort of like critical essay videos against certain types of like feminists and stuff like that. But it was more of like him being he was like lightly doing it and then slowly getting worse and worse and worse. And he was actually like at a point anti-conservative at the beginning, if you can believe it.
well, I mean, but he
Um,
signaled that, but he really
yeah,
wasn't. I mean, it was the same shtick that like Dave Rubin was doing. Well, Dave Rubin, I think, like took it from Carl and all these people to play that game, because Dave Rubin came long after Sargon. But it was
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah. So,
shtick. It's like I'm the ultimate leftist, because I believe in free speech.
well, I think Sargon started out as sort of like a center left liberal. Um, and he started critiquing stuff like the Conservative Party and how like they're not funding like the lower class and stuff like that. And he did like a breakdown video of that ages and ages and ages ago, which was really good. And he did sort of like historical stuff as well because he was interested in that sort of thing. And people lumped him in with the skeptic community, and then there was a crossover between the atheist skeptics and himself. And then he just became more and more reactionary as weeks go by. And I think the biggest the what's the word? The biggest thing that made him go further right, or the biggest like not I'm trying to think of the word that catalyst. The biggest catalyst that made him go further right was when he met up with Milo Yiannopoulos,
Yeah, that didn't
and
help.
he's
I mean,
he,
if anything, that was my first experience of Milo was like through his content.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think what happened was is that when they spent the night together, they he
you
saw
make it sound way more
he,
romantic.
Well, they did, and they had like a romantic date, basically.
Yeah,
Um, and he saw how much money Milo was being funded by, and then just switched track after that. I think he
interesting.
just saw. I think he saw how much money was floating around like Milo at the time, and just thought, "I'll have some of that."
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because like what did he do? Like he through like those connections because Milo was connected with like Farage and all those idiots, and through
And the
like
Murphys.
Breitbart. Yeah, and then that got Carl connected with because Carl Benjamin is his name. I know we keep calling him Sargon, but that was his YouTube account for the longest time. But then he ran as a UKIP candidate for one of their elections too, and got his ass handed to him. Thankfully.
Well, the thing is that they brought up cool, thank you. The thing is they brought up he, the reason why he got his ass handed to him by running for UKIP is because they brought up the statements he made about in a retweet
Right.
of Jess Phillips. And if you because of like he's in his own because of the thing about Sargon, the biggest thing about Sargon was that he had this huge influence over a lot of different people, but that huge influence insulated him away from the rest of the world, which is a much larger bubble.
I can't even
And
remember. Sorry, I was just gonna say I can't remember exactly what Jess Phillips was doing, other than like criticizing various aspects of the online right. But then I remember Sargon said like I wouldn't even rape you, and like
yes,
that's the thing that a lot of people criticized him for. And yes, Cord 10 with the milkshakes. I think he also had fish thrown at him, which was fun. But
yeah, he had fish, he had scat thrown at him as well.
anyway, sorry to cut you
Um,
off, but I guess like unless you know more about what it's been so long, I can't remember what Jess Phillips was actually doing.
well, there's a big preamble to talking about Sargon because Sargon had such a massive impact. I mean, they would be stupid not to like say that he didn't have an effect on things. He actually had a huge impact on like the reactionary right as it is today. Without him, there might have been someone else, but I don't know how successful they would have been. The only thing I can give props to Sargon for is his work ethic. He was producing videos daily. He didn't care if they were right or not, but he just kept churning them out and out and out, and he just kept rising in popularity. And then you got lots of these little channels trying to like befriend him, and he would act like a little bit like a mafia don, just trying to like prop up people that he liked, and
Yeah,
it was such an egotistical thing for him. And he built like a small little empire of like these people just like pyramiding up towards him, and he still
Sargonites.
does that. Yeah, Sargonites. He still does that today
Well, I mean,
as much.
this is eventually going to lead into the content we're covering today, because I thought
Yeah,
he put out a thing saying that he was leaving the YouTube or whatever, but I guess he was leaving in terms of his Sargon identity. But
yeah,
apparently, he started this thing that we're going to watch some of it called the Lotus Eaters Podcast,
yeah.
which, as far as I can tell, it's not just him. It's him and three people who I've watched now several of the videos. I still don't know any of the other three people's names. And I
Yeah.
think it's just three other people. But the weirdest thing is, as bad as I remember Sarkon's content being, this is way worse. It is so brutal.
This is funny though because his because I played a game called like I think it's called like Make Your Own Cult, and they have like badges and symbols exactly like that logo that you see on your screen right now.
Yeah. No, like there's an element. I will say, the logo. This logo is definitely low tier. Like the this feels like where you if you like host a website like through like Wix or Squarespace, they often have like an
Mm.
AI system that designs you your own logo. This feels like that.
Yeah,
That's what this feels like. Uh,
it looks like something like you would find if you were trying to look up Osho.
yeah. But the thing though, like you're gonna notice the production value on the actual like show is miles ahead of where he used to be, and that tells me
Mm.
he's getting funding because the views do not seem large enough to make him have the same quality as other sort of like podcasters or streamers in the game. I mean, the
Yeah.
video we're gonna watch here, which does not have Sargon in it until like the end, it's got like 200,000 views on YouTube, but most of their
When was it
videos.
published?
This was like a week ago or a couple days ago.
Okay.
So 200,000 in a couple days, that's not too bad. But like most of their videos only do about 80,000, 40 to 80,000. This one, I think, because they're going to be talking about both H3H3 and Jordan Peterson, I think they got a big boost off of that. Which is why we're going to be
Yeah.
watching it too.
I actually watched that live stream with him with H3H3 when he was mocking Jordan Peterson. And I think the main criticism that he's probably going to levy against him is that, oh, you're making fun of toxic masculinity whilst doing toxic masculinity kind of thing.
I think that's part of it. So
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna watch this clip. This was just a long setup for this guy. So Sargon is not going to be in this clip, but we're gonna watch another clip after this one in which Sargon is the guy leading the raids in the second one. It was just interesting how this like character has evolved and adapt to this point where honestly this video is going to be weird, but the next one, the content feels like Alex Jones to me, which in itself is like weird, but it's like great that YouTube is allowing this on their fucking platform. There was one video that we're not going to watch today that literally has them just laughing at a trans person. Like that's the only way I can describe the video, which violates all of YouTube's terms of services. Like, what do you do about that? They just have a video where they're just laughing at a trans person because they're trans. And so,
I mean, it wasn't like a week ago that he was laughing at women with abs.
yeah. I didn't catch that drama, but it was like funny that like that had popped up, and then this got recommended to me, and it wasn't until the end of watching this clip when I realized that this podcast involved Sargon, and that's why I wanted to make today a Sargon day of like going through our history and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, to finish off like where I was at the very beginning of this, because I had mentioned that person about like getting sucked into the pipeline and like moving towards the alt-right, because like I had that person in my sociology class, and at the time there was like a part of me that was just like, how dare these feminists have such bad opinions, right? And then it was literally like it just took a few bad Sargon takes for me to go, that person just had a bad opinion. Like, why did I generalize this to all feminists? You know what I mean? And it's like I feel like a lot of people get sucked down the sort of like alt-right or fascist pipeline because they have one bad experience and then generalize that out to like an entire population. When it's like,
And
no,
also,
like sometimes
it
there's stupid people.
it also takes like a level of maturity to let that go as well. That's why I learned.
What?
Because I had that sort of similar experience, but like you have to like learn to grow up a bit and just be like, hey, it's not fair to just judge everyone just because of that one experience that you have. And like these people really hold on to that like for ages,
Not only that,
and
like
it's really really bad.
no, I mean that's part of it is like the holding on of like a kind of grudge that a lot of fascists do, but like it's also just the fact of like in that class, I wouldn't say that like we were best friends, but like we became acquaintances in the class, even though that person had one bad take that initially turned me off. And so it was like even then, and they had a lot of smart things to say, especially relevant to their particular like field of interest and stuff like this. So it's like I mean, there's also an element to this of just let people like don't just even judge people in entirety based on one particular bad comment or thing like that, you know.
I want to say, Tim, I feel seen.
Thank goodness we have Nick here so we can fight bad British people. Well, I don't know about that. They're
Are
all
you just
bad.
gonna be like,
It's ABAB.
well, hey, bad. I thought you were gonna do that. Hey, bad.
Just because you had one good cop interaction doesn't mean cops are good. True. True. Or one bad monarch in your lifetime. Call them Ukes, not Brits. You really, Vienno, you really want to make Ukes a thing, don't you?
We're gonna all be called ukuleles from now on.
It just sounds fun when you say it in your like mouth, you know?
Yeah. I guess.
Uke.
Uke.
Ukes. So we're going to talk about the Ukes.
I'm going to the Uke.
The Ugs? It's true. People from England are like cops in a way. You're not wrong, Tim. So we're going to do this video here. What we watched recently, and I think it was just posted to YouTube today, we watched a clip of Jordan Peterson crying about people saying men aren't necessary. And his response was like, what about sewers and skyscrapers that are impossible? Like men built those, and if we get rid of men, we won't have sewers. And yeah, it's just generally upset about all that. And so we engaged in our own little bit of toxic masculinity and made fun of a man who cried. And yeah, so then what I didn't know is H3H3, which is another like really large YouTube channel. I guess they like get like millions of views. Like they're bigger than a lot of the people that we're talking about today, which is why that a lot of people are trying to like comment on their content to get like an extra boost. So I guess we're just part of that process now. But from what I understand is Ethan himself of H3H3, he once interviewed Jordan Peterson, or like interviewed him twice, and I guess used to be a more center right type person. And when you watch, sorry, you could say something about that, Nick, if you want to.
Well, not really. Like he was just there for the memes and jokes, and he didn't realize the response station until much later. And now he's more like a sock dem, and he's doing a podcast with Hassan, who's like pretty much like he's like socialist but like communist light, but he has no problem with making money. So
no, I would definitely put him in the sock dem category, but like especially now. But I feel like that developed over time. Like there's a great video that I recommend by someone on YouTube called The Cavernacle. The Cavernacle. I've seen them also talk to our friends, the Progressive American. I think they did an interview with each other. And I've also seen the Cavernacle on Bad Praxis, who are, again, friends of the show. But the Cavernacle does these series that I really enjoy, which basically are him going over, like, YouTube people, but, like, their history. And then does a kind of, like, talks about like their change over time in terms of like politics, I guess is the best way to put it. So let me just pull up the video. So he did. I would say like Ethan did do some reactionary content because he was seeing what's trending and just jumping on the bandwagon, but then realized like this isn't good because it doesn't have a good vibe. That's basically how he would see it. Well, I mean, this video too, like it goes into his past, because there was moments in his past where, you know, Ethan was an edgy boy, so he would say the N-word and other stuff like this, right? Not good, very bad, right? But at least with the Cavernacle, I mean, he's pretty harsh when it comes to people changing their mind over time, but was pretty like legit with Ethan being like sort of like going through the motions. Apparently one of the things that really shifted Ethan was the Black Lives Matter stuff. And part of that is also going to come up in the video we're about to watch. But
also Ethan got had to relocate his house because he got death threats from the alt-right and bomb threats from the alt-right. So that changed his politics massively.
Apparently, like
he wanted.
Well, I was just gonna say I've been watching as Tim says, the himbo socialist. I have been watching Hassan and Ethan's show, and I quite enjoy it so far, I have to say. It's interesting to watch, and I'm glad that like these ideas are being sort of projected to a wider audience, and I can appreciate that. Uh, what was it? Where I had a place where I was going with this. uh, and oh yeah, so then and through that they talked about the harassment that he's received, and I guess part of that is because Ethan is in fact Jewish, and so therefore the alt-right really hates Ethan, and he gets a lot of like negativity thrown at him in on that side. So, anyways,
I think he looked into why he was getting that response and started to try and understand what leads to that extremism, and that's what changed his politics and perspective and how he acts.
yeah, and so he's gone through a journey, needless to say, and recently on his show made fun of Jordan Peterson. And so what we're going to watch is these two people on the Lotus Eaters podcasts are now going to react to Ethan, I guess, becoming a turncoat and no longer being a Jordan Peterson supporter or something like this. This is the content that we're about to watch. And I will say to Core10 in the chat, I used to read a lot of Pinker and Hate for the work that I did in my undergrad. And I want to do an episode on Jonathan Haidt one of these days. I've been saving because he wrote a really, really terrible book called, what was it? Oh, shit. No, it's gonna pass me. It was his more recent one about like cancel culture in universities, basically. But I can't remember the shrinking of the American mind or something like this. I can't remember what it's called. The coddling of the American mind. Yes, Tim. Okay, yeah. So I want to either do a review of that book or something. I might make it as like its own. I want to make a YouTube video one going over James Lindsay and his hoax papers and like break down why the hoaxes are stupid. And then I think the next video I would make after that would be like a review of Jonathan Haidt. Oh yeah, no, it's not just freaking bad. It is pathetically bad. It is so pathetically bad. And it's amazing to me because like Haidt did some decent work. Haidt's one of those people where like his early psychological work, I actually have a ton of respect for. Unlike Peterson and Pinker, which never really had any good work in their past. They pretty much were just like tried to be popularizers. But Haidt did some legitimate work, and so it just angers me that he could just like it's like he just cracked open his brain and let some of it pour out. I don't know what's going on with it. But he angers me more than anyone. His moral dumbfounding work is fucking excellent. Exactly. Yeah. A semester never passes without me teaching about it, and yet here we are. I know, right? Like his moral dumbfounding stuff is incredible. Even some of the stuff around when he started writing A Righteous Mind. Now, I hated A Righteous Mind, and I think his conclusions in that book are completely incorrect. Some of the work leading up to that was still pretty decent, I think. But either way, no more of Jonathan Haidt. We will cover him another day. Let's watch a couple of British morons criticize Ethan from H3H3 for turning on Jordan Peterson. Here we go.
Regrettably, it seems that Ethan Klein has decided to try to cancel Jordan Peterson, or as
So before we go into this, what do we think about our British host so far? I will say they are very white.
Where did they get these people?
Yeah.
Did they say human words?
The British language is quite confusing, I will say. Oh my goodness.
Did they get them from the Tory youth like meetups or something?
Doesn't it feel like that? This guy, like, yeah. I feel like this guy looks familiar because he looks like every generic white dude from like an action film or something. Like almost like a I can't even place it. I just feel like he's always like a side character that'll get killed off in a battle scene or something.
He's got a worse hairline than like Ethan has. Both
And
of
this
them.
guy just looks. I don't even know how to describe this guy. He looks like someone that if I were prone to bullying, I would bully him.
I've seen that guy. I've seen that guy on the right more than the guy on the left. The left guy's new to me. The guy on the right's usually like with Carl.
Well, I mean, they're all
They
with
do
Carl.
have the same chairs.
Yeah, they have the same chairs. I mean, the production again. The production value here is beyond their views, which tells me they're getting funding from an outside source. This is not, especially because there's 4 of them. Remember, so there's these 2, and then the next video we're going to meet the other guy and Carl. And
Oh shit! There's another one.
yeah, there's another white dude. That's just
How are they paying? How are they
indistinguishable
paying
as
for like
this.
four people's salary plus Carl's salary, which is probably like much larger.
With like 40 to 80,000 views a video? I mean, like, I guess they produce like a video every day, so like
They have like they're probably banned from Patreon because of that debacle ages ago. They're probably like they've been banned from Subscribed Star and all that. So where's the money? Where's the money coming in?
UKIP? I don't know. Anyways, let's get lost in the nonsense words. There you go.
As good as. And despite having interviewed, of course, Jordan Peterson in 2017 to cast a light on the hysteria being peddled about his resistance to Bill CC.
He sounds almost like the dude from the Wigan Kebab video.
Oh no, he does not. He does not.
He does.
Like,
He does not.
Like they must be from like the same area of the country.
so
No.
is that Mitchell and
He's from
Webb?
the south. He's from the south. He's from the south. Like the guy you're thinking about is way up north and much
Really?
northern.
Are we
He's
talking
got
about
south
Mitchell and
southern
Webb?
Same.
What's the kebab thing?
Huh?
No. He was thinking of Vienna was thinking about the sorry about that. Vienna was thinking about the Wigan kebab thing.
I don't know what Wigan
which is
kebab
that-
is.
It's a video
Okay,
where it's about eating a Wigan kebab up in Wigan.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. That just reifies the thing that we were confused about. What is a Wigan kebab?
It's a really
God, we
bad.
need to watch
It's a really
it's
bad
only 3
food
minutes
group.
long. Can we watch the Wigan Kebab video?
No,
we're done with
no,
this.
we're gonna watch these people eat a lotus.
I think we need to understand UK culture before we get into this video. I'm
You want
sorry.
to get a pee wet? You want to get a pee wet?
But like, we're not going to watch that video
That is
yet.
yet?
But maybe we'll get there. But the point is, this. What I was going to say is, this guy actually I feel like he sounds like one of the dudes from Mitchell and Webb. I can't remember which one is Mitchell. Not the guy who says, "Are we the baddies?" The other one. He sounds like him. So is that Webb? I don't even know. I don't know. Continue. Here we go.
16. H3H3's Ethan Klein has decided to posture his allegiance with the woke zeitgeist at Jordan's expense. Now, before we look at this unashamed pandering, which makes for pretty difficult viewing, it'll
He looks
probably be
angry as he says that.
You're probably gonna
I mean, like, they seem genuinely hurt by this.
No. I saw the guy on the left. He's like gritting his teeth as he says it. It's weird. If you go back a few frames,
be
he's gritting his.
I mean, he's like kind of like
difficult viewing.
chuckling, but
It'll probably be
you're
But
probably
he's
get
just
trigger
a
warning
woke
because it's
trigger,
cringe.
zeitgeist.
trigger warning. It's really cringe. Let's first take a glance at the nature of the debate in 2017 when they were on the subject of the humongous incident.
This
so before I go into this clip, what they're referring to is there was this incident on a campus where a guy was, I can't remember the full context, but he was being had a camera shoved in his face by somebody on a college campus, and then made a joke about his name is Humongous. And then
it wasn't a college campus. It wasn't
Oh,
a
was
college
it?
campus. No, it was sort of something to do with like fire code. They were in like I think a municipal city hall or something. I remember it.
yeah,
And yeah, you go on. If you
well,
wanna
either way, it
continue.
it blew up, and it became a thing of like cancel culture. Like people were trying to call out the guy for being bad because he made a joke about his penis. And
It's
so I
actually
remember.
it's actually the other way round.
Well,
People were celebrating him for being rebellious against the feminists.
I mean, it depends on which group you were aligned with at the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you were an anti-feminist, you're like, yeah, humongous, let's go. If you were a normal person, you're like, dude, come on, just get on with your life.
I mean, there was
Yeah.
a reason. There was a bit of people initially who definitely were on the side of like what he said was misogynistic in some capacity, the way he said it to this woman, because that's how it like bubbled up initially, and then again, like anything,
Well,
the
yeah.
right wing took it and
yeah.
ran with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember having an opinion. I feel like something happened where a lot came out about the humongous guy too. That wasn't great, but either way, I don't remember any of like the background and all that shit. All I remember is a rather silly video, and like everyone just was screaming about it.
Everyone lost their shit over
for
like,
more added
One
context.
second.
Sorry,
One
can I
second.
finish? Can I finish real quick? I've been
Sorry.
talking. I just want to finish my
Alright.
point. Come on. No, don't keep interrupting.
Chip.
That was it. No, I was just agreeing with you. Everyone was being like ridiculous the whole time.
But just to add more context, Ethan actually helped to do a GoFundMe for that humongous guy to pay for his like medical bills.
Fair. So I guess
So-
that's the context of this Jordan Peterson Ethan exchange.
Person came and asked him his name, and he didn't know who she was, and he made this joke, and then she went completely crazy
Yes.
and really tore a strip off him. And I thought, I mean, it was like she wasn't paying any attention to the actual reality of the situation. I mean, I think you went and interviewed him in the corner store where he worked, wasn't that
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so he's this like working class guy. He's in a corner store. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. All of a sudden, this hyper intellectual radical feminist just jumps on him and just has a fit. It's like
Nobody's ready for that.
no, well, yeah.
No one's equipped to deal with
Hardly
that.
anybody enjoys it either. That's a funny thing. And then I followed up what happened after that, with your fundraiser, which I thought was really cool, and also with her sort of justification videos. And I
Right.
used her as an example of someone who is basically possessed by ideology. Because as far as I was concerned, when I was watching her, there was almost no person there at all. There was just endless verbal
thinking.
outpourings of a formulaic view of the world, and she was willing.
I mean, part of here, like this way of talking about it, almost like really dehumanizes her in a gross way.
Yeah.
Like she's depersoned. She's just a thing of ideology. Like, couldn't you just say like the same for like Jordan Peterson here? When has Jordan Peterson not just been vapid ideology? I don't feel comfortable and the rules don't make sense. Like that's his whole being. That is your.
What are we
being.
gonna do without men?
Yeah.
What do we do?
This
No
woman.
skyscrapers.
Women don't have any intellectual content, and it makes me nervous. I might say, TA, can I motorboat you? And then all of a
Stop.
sudden, I'm being charged
I don't
for
know if
sexual harassment.
that joke has context at the moment. I think inside our circle it does. I don't think your viewers know where that comes from.
That actually comes from Michael Brooks. That's a Michael Brooks throwback. He had a whole bit where like Jordan Peterson was
I
like,
don't know
"You
where that
can't,
comes from.
you can't even harass a TA anymore." Oh my god. Jordan, he actually, you know what the funny thing is? I think that came out around the time when Jordan Peterson admitted on stage that there was 3 sexual assault allegations against him. Or maybe not assaults, but harassment. Yeah, you don't remember this? He admitted on stage. He's like, there was
No.
3 times when sexual harassment cases were brought against him. So then Michael Brooks had a bit where he's like, I can't even harass a TA anymore. I don't know what the rules are.
God.
Yeah.
There's too much chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
willing to put this guy through hell. She never looked at him at all, not even once, really, to figure out who he was.
That's why I call it like the cult of outrage. Because
I mean, like, again, like, I'll just briefly say, notice how, like, for their perspective on her, is she's like this soulless, vapid thing where it's nothing. She didn't even care to seek out his humanity. Meanwhile, they're, like, dehumanizing her in the process. Like, it's just a weird... It's like, have you ever considered her humanity and why she might think the things that she thinks? Like, I don't know, maybe she's been a previous victim of sexual harassment and therefore read what the guy did as being sexual harassment. Like, you can humanize her. It doesn't have to be just like a mess of ideology.
Because it does feel more like a cult.
Mhm.
People don't really have outrage because they're addicted to outrage, and they don't really think about. It's not rational. It's just they're possessed. I think.
Well,
that's a good
you
analogy.
get possessed by ideas, you know.
Pretty
Let's
much.
read the comments, eh?
But then how
Yeah,
are we
I mean,
going to...
that's the second video, but this was a time when H3 was actually more than watchable. As in, it wasn't.
Yeah, and you can see the amazing value in that.
It for the most part sustained an apolitical lens. It quite liked poking fun at wokish. if you like, social justice.
Apolitical.
It fit an apolitical lens. It poked fun at wokeism. It's apolitical. It just agrees with all the politics that I hold. And that's when it was viewable.
It was viewable when it was more fascist.
Yeah,
when it was
exactly.
giving fascist credence.
Exactly. It was a caller that impersonated Jordan? Okay. I feel like Michael took it somewhere, though. But I'll check that out in a bit, no?
Justice warriors, as they were more known then, when they were acting hysterically, and needless to say, you'd be very, very good lawyer to launch a defence of what's her name, the humongous lady,
The lady.
the lady, yeah,
It's not humongous.
yeah.
For people who might not be familiar with that incident, it's amazing. You should go back. You're missing out on a gem if you aren't, but most people will be. But the amazing thing I found interesting
A gem.
You've
It was
seen
a
it,
gem.
I have.
So it's a lady some guy comes out, he disagrees with her on building some police building or something, and he's like, yeah, what's your name? And he's like, wow, humongous.
Yeah.
And then she's like, that's sexual harassment.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, when he mentions that it was like there's no person there, that's true, but it was the fact that she didn't care what was true at all. She
No.
was only looking for a tactic, which is,
Yeah.
how do I shut this guy down? I'll just call him a sexual
Yeah.
harasser.
Yeah.
He's only looking for a tactic. What?
How's this for a tactic? Bringing up things from 2017 because that's the only point that Sargon was relevant.
I mean, like, let's be fair. I mean, it's one thing if you're talking about a historical moment, right? Like we did today, because like we rediscovered Sargon today, and so we're going through the motions, you know? But that being said, like the interesting thing here is they like when they're trying to reflect on the things they liked about Ethan before he apparently went turncoat and is now on the left, apparently. The reason why they're upset with that is because of these moments where, like, remember back in 2015 when Ethan used to just agree with us about, like, silly campus people that we would mock endlessly for views on YouTube? And it's like, that was never good. It was not good back then, and it's not good now. Leave the college kids alone. Let them explore and find themselves and be cringy. It's okay.
She quite literally became an instrument for a political idea, and almost just surrendered to that, as in all of her agency to that. So she wasn't even engaging with what he was saying. It
was like she consciously and willfully gave up her own personality.
Yeah, exactly.
To be a political
yeah,
instrument.
and as I suppose you would do if you're a comic podcast.
You're hosting the
is
Lotus
just
Eaters.
trying to make light of them.
What? Go on, Nick.
It's just like they're saying that as they're hosting a political show where they've given up their own like sort of like personal identity to be these reactionary dipshits.
Yeah.
It's just like these people are the least self-aware people I've ever like had to deal with. Even when I was getting like buddy with some of them when I was making my channel, they're just the least self-aware people at all.
Well, I mean, you even said like they likely went and did a lot of this for the money, and possibly Sargon was like that as well. So
yeah.
This and have a discussion with someone who actually, you know, has not only experience of these sorts of people, but is willing to have a laugh about it in a rational way as well. I mean, you have to when faced with people like this.
And let's be fair, and I think Ethan would actually agree with this. Ethan wasn't having rational discussions.
He just
was
wants
just having a laugh.
memes and
Yeah.
views. He just wants memes and views. That's his whole channel.
Yeah, and all the power to him. So long as like And here's the one thing that I could say, since I've watched a lot of him recently, he seems to be a little bit more aware of how a joke might impact a marginalized community. And I think that is respectful. But he still likes the memes. So go for the memes so long as the most people can enjoy them at the same time, you know?
I will say that he wasn't that aware back then. When they showed that video footage that they just got up, he wasn't that aware.
He definitely was not aware back then. Damn shit.
But anyway, he's arrived at a very different position, or at least so it seems. He's gone from poking fun at incredulous behaviour and then almost being incredulous himself, as we will see in this video here.
The thing that they're going to play the clip, the recent clip of him mocking Jordan Peterson. And I want to say, like, notice like the lack of any content in what these two morons are saying right now. They're just saying that like it was it's incredulous now because he's not doing the things that we want him to do. Like that's or he's credulous now, or however the words work right now. Because I'm tired. But
and they've got that sort of like logic bro attitude where everything can be solved with like logic point arguments. Like they're the kind of people that would actually go into real life and bring up like logical fallacies as like a way of talking to people.
I agree with Tim. I don't think they're using credulous or incredulous correctly. But the point, discount Elijah Wood over there looks so confused. Yeah, I guess he is discount Elijah Wood. I see it now. All right, Cortan, you convinced me. It's more of just like, you could make an argument, like, at least like what they could do is give me an argument for why Ethan was better back then and he's not better now. Like, what is the difference between then and now? And the only difference is like, he has reason to himself that maybe when he was laughing along with the humongous guy, it didn't get across the things that he wanted to and was actually negative in many ways. And now has changed his way and his delivery of comedy. And like, isn't that an interesting thing? What about the content of the jokes matter? Or like, how do those express his change in views or whatnot? But instead it's like, joke man, don't make joke about the people I don't like anymore. I'm mad. He turned on Daddy Figure and it make me big upset. Daddy Figure, very nice. And joke man, make fun of Daddy. I don't like. That is the content we're getting here from the Lotus Eaters.
Let's read the comments, eh?
What the hell are we going to do without men?
What are we going to do without men?
What are we going to do without men?
They look personally
What in the
offended.
country club is
Yeah,
this?
Look personally offended. Like they just look at each other and just be like,
It's not easy. Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally, whereas a man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
Based.
Notice, like, so he makes this face, and you just heard one of the Lotus Eaters say base to that comment.
based in what?
So the comment was only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally, whereas a man is only loved under the condition that he provides something, and they go based. Why is that based? Like
Women work too.
Well, everything about that is stupid. It's like, I don't know that men are only loved under the condition that they provide something, or why would that be based? That's not good. Like, that's toxic masculinity.
Just to give it more context, it's coming from an account called Red Pill Knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
And they openly support like Trump and stuff.
Well, their account is Mission to Manhood, Red Pill Knowledge. So based.
It gets worse.
Bro, do you know what year it is? I'm pretty sure like almost 100% of all households, both parents work. You can hear the emotion in his voice. A man truly fighting for us. This is a man fighting for me.
Where would we be without beautiful hard bodies?
He's devolved. He's in the sewer.
Oh no.
Where's a man to
It's too
save me?
deep.
I'm stuck in a sewer.
It's too deep, Jordan. Go
I'm
back.
stuck in a sewer. Somebody call a man to come help me out of here.
It's poopy water.
Holy
You can't be
shit.
in there,
Help
Jordan.
me. Oh,
Sorry.
I see a woman. No. Send a man. I don't want help from a woman.
I'm deep undercover.
Oh,
Yo,
what's that?
seriously, the guy on the left in that looks
Yeah,
like he's
he's
about to
so
fucking
offended.
cry.
Yeah.
He looks like he's gonna fucking cry.
Here, I'll move it back, and because people can't see, or I could just move my head here. We'll do this for a few seconds so people can see his sad face. Let's go for it.
Where would we be without beautiful hard bodies?
He's devolved. He's in the sewer.
Oh no.
Where's a
Yeah,
man
he's shaking
to
his
save
head.
me? I'm stuck in a sewer.
It's too deep,
You can see
Jordan.
the tear
Go
ducts
back.
coming
Stuck in a sewer. Somebody call a man to come help me out of here.
It's poopy water. You can't be in there,
Help
Jordan.
me. Oh, I see a woman. No. Send a man. I don't want help from a woman.
I'm deep undercover.
Oh my god.
I don't
what the
want to
hell?
just mock the guy and his facial expressions, but it's like you need to let go. If you are that upset over an H3 video, you need to let it go.
Oh,
Jeez.
I need a man to come rescue me in the sewer. For those who don't remember, the actual Jordan Peterson clip was him saying that like sewers are impossible and that like only men can build sewers. And that's why somebody made the joke meme of Jordan Peterson being in the sewer, and they're playing the sappy music because over the Jordan Peterson crying about men clip, it had very sappy music. So that's the whole riff that's going on.
Oh, it goes even deeper. Here he is as Super Saiyan during his speech. What the fuck?
We've met some of your fans, and we got the impression they were all male fans, the ones that we talked to, and that they were struggling with their manhood, and that you give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay. It's necessary.
It's not okay.
What the hell are we going to do without men? Yeah, he's acting like he's
sweet
someone
picking.
he's never even.
What are we gonna do without men? What are we gonna do?
I love how shitty the hair looks on his head too. It really like just makes your eyes drawn to how dark his eyebrows are and his mustache versus everything else.
It's going
my
Super
God.
Saiyan 2.
Oh, is that? I don't know. I didn't know there was various stages of the Super Saiyan. Is Jordan
Oh, no,
even
yeah,
aware
there's-
someone is talking to him? No, he isn't. Laughing at Lobster Daddy is always fun. Agreed, Igloo. Agreed.
even met.
You had a podcast with the dude.
Yeah.
Also, he's making valid points, obviously. Like, I know there are a lot
Yeah.
of Jordan Peterson memes, and I enjoy them myself, but, like, the point that you need men, of course you do.
First thing to highlight here is you were on a podcast with it. I didn't
Is that meant
realize.
to mean some sort of like immutable respect all the time?
I guess, like, I don't know, like, people are no longer, like, once you have someone on your podcast, you're not allowed to change. You have to love them forever. Oh my god. Betraying the fraternity of podcasters, yeah. But then also, like, he was making good points. That's right. Sewers are, in fact, impossible. Correct. Great point, Jordan Peterson.
Like, the point that he said, oh, he's in the sewer, oh, they'd send a woman. Well, what are the percentage chance that a woman is going to come and work in the sewers?
What?
What percentage of a chance is there ever going to be a woman in a sewer? There is never
Zero.
Never been a
Zero.
woman in a
There's-
sewer.
Never once. It's never
There-
happened. In fact, if you get rid of all the men and women have to work in the sewer, it'll still be zero. That's how percentages work. That's the way it goes.
Like,
Don't
there's
blame me.
It's the Mario brothers, not the Mario siblings. There are no plumbers who are not men.
The irony is, like, they are playing the stereotype that Ethan is mocking the fucking thing, you know? They're playing into the stereotype. Like, what's funny? Of course, only men do these jobs. It's like, I want to know, like, is this an act? Like, it feels like it's delivered with, like, a kind of confidence that feels fake to me. There's no way that this asshole could actually think that. Unless his brain has, like, completely corroded inside of his skull. Which is possible.
I just found something interesting by just doing a quick Google search, which most, like, Sargonians have never done before. If you type in, like, the UK's sort of, like, ratio of female employees at, like, the water sewage works, apparently they've had, like, a 46% increase because of they removed the gendered terms that were required for the job. I'm reading that now. Like, they removed, like, all the gendered words that were slanting towards it being, like, a male masculine job, and now they've got, like, a huge increase of people who are, like, going to jobs there.
Weird. You're saying that if you change, like, the systemic pressures, you actually have, like, structural changes. Weird how that works.
Counterpoint, Nick. What percentage of a chance would a woman ever be in a suit?
Does it matter? It's the second question.
Oh my god. Oh, what are you talking about? Jordan Peterson, and then people defending Jordan Peterson and how silly they are.
And we know by the applications.
Yes.
Zilch.
Yeah.
It's minuscule compared to the men who will do it. Also, your internet connection, buddy.
I mean, even if that were true, minuscule compared to the men who would do it. Why would that matter? I mean, that still wouldn't make men necessary for, like, sanitation work or something like that. Like, that still doesn't, even if we were getting to, like, the rational brain shit that they say, even that doesn't follow from this.
All the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so obvious.
I mean, the tone of this, I don't even want to call it coverage because it's not.
It's just childish.
It's childish, and it's mean-spirited, to be quite frank. And I'm of course not.
He looks so personally slighted.
Because no one can, of course, make.
Oh, like, so, okay, what did we get there? We got some tone policing? Oh,
it was mean-spirited. It was mean.
I can't even remember
that was
what
the critique.
What did the other guy say before that? He said another thing. I lost
Yes.
it.
Zilch.
Yeah.
It's minuscule compared to the men who will do it.
Okay,
also,
we got
your
that.
internet connection, buddy. All the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So, internet connection?
it's
Okay.
just so obvious.
I mean, the tone of.
So we get internet connection, it's so obvious, and your tone. Notice how none of this has anything. It's so obvious, so I don't have to assess any of the factual claims that were made. Your tone is just so mean-spirited and mean, and, like, you have a shoddy internet connection, so therefore... Amazing.
No, I think he was saying that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
You can go ahead. I've spoken enough.
No. You were going. I think we were going to say the same thing after you.
Yeah. I was just going to say he was saying that things are built and done by men, kind of thing, as in, like, your internet connection's sustained by men workers and all that sort of stuff. Not like all of, like, saying it's so obvious that we need men because men are in, like, working jobs and stuff. That's their point.
I do love it, though. It's like, well, obviously everything that I think is important was done by men. Clearly women only work as, like, teachers and nurses and stuff like that. They don't do anything else. Like, really? You think it's just men at the Comcast company, at the cable company? You think that's it? There's no women there at all? You don't,
Do they?
That's the thing.
And what are we
And
all
then-
doing right now?
And then on top of that, they act surprised when they get called sexist. Like, every time they act surprised when they get called sexist, when they have sexist attitudes, because they don't understand what it means to be sexist.
No, but, like, they're self-aware of their sexism insofar as they think that it's the natural way that the world should be. And so they don't think that they're actual sexist because they're like, this is just a natural hierarchy. which is why they like Jordan Peterson so much, right? But like we're gonna like this video, like we're halfway through it. Like they're gonna double down on a bunch of this shit, which all has to do with like, yeah, they have like arcane views about women because they're a bunch of fucking UK fascists, you know. The world would be a lot better if we could get rid of all this female insanity. Bro, feelings don't care about these facts, so they feel no inclination to even look it up. Men are more evolutionary adapted to dwell in the sewers. True.
I mean, that's why these two are called trolls.
This, I don't even want to call it coverage because it's not.
It's just childish.
It's childish and it's mean-spirited, to be quite frank.
Oh my
And I'm of course not trying to say that there should be a cap on humour because no one can of course make that claim. But he must have known, or he must know, that Jordan Peterson went for a quite serious personal crisis, which led to him disappearing from the public eye for a very long time.
What does that have to do with this clip?
Yeah.
Poor Jordan got addicted to benzos. Don't you know he doesn't feel so good anymore?
I love
like went in a coma in Serbia.
I love the you.
That was a self-induced coma, by the way. It's something that he inflicted on himself that he didn't need to, and he didn't take the proper like precautions or medications because of his own toxic masculinity.
But there's also just like
So stupid.
he like they're so just like fuck feminists. Feminists are terrible. Let's just insult them. Again, I've told you, they've got segments on, like, you could go watch some of their other clips, and they just outright laugh at trans people for the fact that they're trans. No content there. They don't offer any descriptions. They just make fun of someone's appearance. Yet here they can go, oh, can you just, before you even deign to poke a little fun at Jordan Peterson, have you considered the terrible things he's gone through? Like, it's amazing, like, for their daddy figure, you must protect. You must protect at all costs. But for all their enemies, like, fuck them. They're not humans. You can destroy.
Hey Jody, can we get a crying Peterson emoji in the Twitch?
I'm gonna need more followers and more people chatting and doing other stuff. So, because that's how I gain more ability to add emotes.
Ah, that's how it works.
So I'm limited in what we got. What the hell are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with that, Ben? Good point.
To present him as a washed-up, zombified, sewer rat, like he just did, is really egregious.
Yeah, I don't think he's just having fun with the memes. I think it is a representation of like,
So
haha, he's mocking.
Yeah. So
What
offensive.
But like, Jordan brought up sewers. The funny thing is, like, I don't even think that they made that meme. I think a lot of their audience member, like, while they're chatting, send them the memes. Because it's not like, while Ethan was commenting on the thing, he sat there and, like, rigged up a meme to share on the screen. They have audience members that, like, make this stuff and send it in. I can't believe I made it this far. How egregious.
Main thing of Jordan Peterson, which is his messages for men, essentially.
Yeah, and not only that, he's doubling down on beating men up and beating up a man who is trying to make a defense of men who are being beaten up, and in turn, well, he's pandering to those who want to take the mick out of
so
Peterson.
Upset by that.
I know, like he's legit.
Peterson.
Big mad. He big mad.
They're hurting men. They're hurting men. Have you thought about all the men that are being hurt? Oh, and you notice like how little care they had for the woman in the humongous segment, but now it's just like, oh my god, how horrible is it that you say anything negative about a man? It's amazing. It is so amazing to me.
Two cars, you say beating up men is wrong. But Antifa?
Yeah. I mean, that's all anti-fascist violence is. Beating up men. You should verbally beat up on women who actually.
Hey, if you beat up men, there's less school shootings.
Didn't we watch John Doyle the other John Doyle does the same shit, I mean, like, as these guys. I mean, he didn't go on a cry fit about men like they have, but like he went on a whole tirade about how hitting a woman is okay, so that was fun. Don't you just love these people? They're fun. Incredibly.
And this is what this is all about.
Also
It's just virtue.
argument.
It's just virtue signaling.
Yeah. I love the idea that when men have to provide something. Well, don't you know that there are?
It was a joke, and now they're like he's virtue signaling, all because of a joke. Oh my god! It's like they're pulling up every buzzword from the 2015s and bringing them back.
Many households that are both working. Like, yeah, so what? Like, the woman could stop working if the man made enough. No one would care, and doesn't address the point whatsoever that men are not unconditionally loved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that familiar with Ethan Klein, or at least wasn't. I enjoyed watching his coverage of the humongous stuff and other things as well. I'm sure I've seen, but from what I've heard, he's basically subjected himself to a complete reconceptualization of everything that he is and everything that H3 should do since George Floyd's killing, which applies for a lot of media outlets. Yeah. I mean, this isn't. He's turned out to be a complete and utter snake. There's no.
What? That's the conclusion you come to after someone got killed.
No, he reflected on his views, changed his mind on things, and therefore is a snake. Like, usually a snake implies some sort of nefariousness, right? Like, he infiltrated a movement or tried to pretend to be something, but it was insincere and fake. Where I honestly feel like Ethan's journey seems legit to me. Nothing about what Ethan went through or whatnot seems artificial to me. You know?
The thing is with Ethan, though, he said he had a meltdown at one point because of the fame and things he was dealing with and people he was clashing with got to him, and then I think he went through some therapy. So that's why that's all culminating in his views now. So.
But I mean, sure. I mean, but no matter how he transitioned, I mean, that seems still natural to me. It would be different if it's the whole time I'm just waiting for the moment to make fun of Jordan Peterson, you know?
And just a PSA, it's a good thing to assess your perspective and your outlook on life. You can learn so much when you do that.
No shit. I mean, I love too. He made the dude on the right made some comment about how that women now can't. It's well, you know, men are so necessary that they can be the breadwinner, and the woman doesn't even have to work. Who said that this was the normal arrangement of society? That's the way it should be for everyone. You know, hate these people.
No other way of saying it, really. I mean, for a start, he released an awful video about his experience with the police, basically claiming that he got off lightly for underage drinking or something like that, entirely because he was white.
Was this during George Floyd's riots?
It was in the aftermath of that, yes.
Right.
It was just a massive grand gesture about, I know what white privilege is. That's what that was about, essentially. And he's also...
So, I want to pause it, because I shared in fact, I'll throw it in the chat here, but the Tabernacle clip, this whole thing about his transition and his expression of white privilege here, he makes it sound like it's some grand gesture where he's Ethan comes out and is I know what white privilege is. All Ethan said was he was underage drinking and the cops treated him with kid gloves. And he knows other people who are not white who were dealt much harshly with police for lesser crimes. And how that, how he reflected on that. As someone should. Why, you know, why is there a discrepancy there? What could account for those differences? Maybe that's something that we should consider. And yet he wants to stay here oh, Ethan, this guy wants to make some grand gesture about white privilege. And it's I don't even know if he said white privilege in the clip. He might have said that that it is white privilege that he was treated differently than his non-white friends by the police. But it's not a grand gesture. If anything, that's just a statement of the fucking facts, bud.
Is also the person responsible for another YouTuber, Keemstar, losing his sponsorship with G Fuel after claiming that that Keemstar was responsible for another YouTuber, Etika's suicide. And it was something along. He basically, I think, Keemstar was it.
About this,
Yeah, well, Keemstar apparently this is a secondhand source, but Keemstar basically interviewed Etika and asked the question in a rather brash way. That if you're feeling bad in yourself, how come you're still here? And Ethan Klein basically doubled down on that by basically saying, well, after Etika had sadly committed suicide, that you are in effect responsible and that you should lose your sponsorship for it. And ultimately, Keemstar did lose his sponsorship.
Based on even his own description, do we have any sympathy for Keemstar here?
I mean, would we have any sympathy for Keemstar anyway? But also, no.
I don't know who the fuck Keemstar is, but no.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Stay that way. Stay that way. Don't harm your brain.
You sweet innocent lamb.
I would just say for context with this, he's a drama streamer. And so in this case, Keemstar interviewed this person and was basically like, if you don't want to live, why are you still here? And then the person killed themselves. And so Ethan, because not only that, Keemstar, what did Keemstar say? He basically said something super anti-Semitic to Ethan, basically calling him a greedy Jew or something like this. Okay? And so Ethan then made this whole video pointing out all the shit that's wrong with Keemstar, including the fact that he said this to a guy who then killed himself. And because Ethan made that video, a sponsor pulled out of Keemstar. Now, with all that context, very simple context, I don't know, I side with Ethan on this one. And I'm glad that Keemstar lost his sponsor. I don't think that's a negative, but he makes it like, oh my god. I mean, even in his own description, Keemstar doesn't come out as the good person in this.
The other thing about Keemstar that happened recently is that he's announced that he's retiring.
Yeah, Nam just said that in the chat as well. I saw that. I'm still of the belief that this is some sort of like troll or some shit, but because apparently he's made claims that he was quitting before, so if Keemstar commits to that, it will be a big gain for the world. Yes, it would, especially based on what this guy just said. Yes, it would.
G Fuel.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
No.
I can see some of the chat being like, well, actually, does Ethan Klein even get white privilege?
No.
I mean, according to the critical race theorist, the answer is no.
Anyone preaching about it is either not looking outside of the paradigm they're trying to impose, or is just virtue signaling and knows nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Cliche ending bullshit.
Like, they're just shooting out buzzwords. I can't even believe that thousands of people watch this.
Like, what he was saying is just like completely thought terminating every time. It's just like, oh, don't think about it.
Yeah, virtue signaling. It's just critical race theory. They're stuck in their own ideology, and it's like, do you have nothing to say about whether or not what Ethan's own personal experience says about race in America? You don't think that's relevant? You don't have anything to like even attempt at a rebuttal? Nothing? You're just gonna wave it away with your hands and just be like, oh, critical race theory, virtue signaling, ideology, white privilege, that's all I got.
Because, again, like I mentioned to you before we started, like I used to watch some of his stuff when, probably about the Humongous Time or whatever on occasion, but just since not too interested. But then the only thing I seem to see coming out of him is like that incident with Crowder, where they invite Crowder on. Crowder was like, yeah, I've got a position that we should question the data, and you have the position of we should trust the scientists because they know more than us, and we shouldn't question it. It was a weird debate topic, but whatever. And then he just had that Sam Cedar guy come on and represent him instead in a trap, and it's just like, yeah, but that's just dishonorable.
Dishonorable. You are dishonorable.
My sense of knightly honor. I am an Englishman.
Even this feels like such just a like. It almost feels like this was made by people who are doing a joke. But since Sargon is involved, I know this is supposed to be serious. Like, even there, the spelling out of what Ethan said makes Ethan seem like a good person. It's like Ethan didn't want to debate with Crowder because he's not a scientist, and this should be up to the scientists. Like, he spelled the whole fucking thing out. It's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't go to a YouTuber who makes meme videos. Maybe that shouldn't be our source for scientific evidence about vaccines. Maybe he should not be the one having this debate.
And rightly, like Ethan said rightly, you see me as a layup to Crowder.
Yeah.
Because of, like, that's what he does. He picks on people because he's a bully.
Right. And then, but it's dishonorable. How dare he play a joke on Crowder by having Sam Cedar come in?
That was the highlight. That was the highlight of my year, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a pretty high moment. Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what you think of Crowder, that's you staring yourself in dirt. You know, being a dishonorable individual.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, he's also arguably a thief as well. I mean, did you remember the FUPA fund that he started?
No.
When he was he was basically a copyright lawsuit with Matt Hoss, which he ultimately won, but he basically asked for funding from his own supporters and said that once with the money left over, he would actually invest it in basically keeping this fund up to help other YouTubers, I suppose less not as big as his, with copyright claims. And ever since his own case was resolved, he's done absolutely nothing with it. So depending on how much money he actually made, he pocketed all of that money that people had sent to him in good faith.
So this is actually, I tried looking into this because I heard a lot of people making this claim about this FUPA account. So this FUPA thing has to do with the fact that, like, yes, he was being sued and he fought it and won. But this guy named Philip DeFranco, who's another drama streamer news person, set up an account to raise money for them to fight the thing. And when all was said and done and they won and they didn't need that money, they took the money from Philip DeFranco and put it in this account called the FUPA account, which was something like filing against something protection, I don't know, something to do with internet copyright material or some shit like this. I can't remember exactly what it was. Or fair use protection. I think that's what it was. And then that money is now in an account and it's being legally like monitored. So the thing is, like, they didn't pocket any of this money. As far as I'm aware, there's no way they can pocket this money. It's being like run by like a separate sort of entity. Okay? But like, as per whether or not they've given out any of the funds to help people fight for fair use, I'm not aware. Maybe there just hasn't been a case since this account was set up that they've actually like utilized it. But the money is just sitting there in this additional account. It hasn't been pocketed by them, as far as I'm aware. If I get any more information, I'll be on the bandwagon with everyone else going, bad Ethan. But until then, it's just money sitting in an account. That was donated to him to fight a thing that, like, if he ends up using it to fight the thing, then good. Why is everyone talking about Girl Boss in the thing?
Because Comrade asked the question from Eric Andre about Margaret Thatcher.
Oh my god, yeah. I didn't realize Comrade Chicken made that comment. Yes. Very brave.
Huh. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So stop what
I will say too, that claim that it's fraudulent was made by Keemstar as well. The guy who they already expressed, basically told a guy to kill himself.
watching Ethan Klein.
That's
Stop watching H3H3.
I mean, to be fair, I can't say anything positive about it because I just don't watch enough. But everything I seem to be is stuff like this, like you're mentioning, where it's just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah. I mean, he himself looks more of a washed-up snake than he tried to present Jordan Peterson as in that suit. I mean, look at him. What the hell is that hat?
Yeah.
Clean your roommate before you start criticizing.
What is that hat? They're gonna mock Ethan's like toque sitting on top of his head? That's
the beanie.
That's pathetic, guys.
That's
the fucking worst comeback I've ever heard. Well, you insulted my hero, but your beanie.
You wear a
The
hat.
fuck, guys, come on.
You wear
I
a hat.
also started to make a comment there about cleaning your room before you insult somebody.
We don't know.
This
They
is-
could have clean rooms.
This is fucking pathetic. I'm sorry, guys, but if this is your podcast, I'm not subscribing.
Again, thousands of people watch this. I can't. That's the part that I can't fucking get over.
Yeah, but you can understand. Like, this is just how that corner of the internet goes. Like, they all just follow the algorithm down the pipeline and just consume without any thought anything that fits like the prescribed worldview. And it just like we just have to find the individual, right? We have to shake them and we have to tell them stop it. Go outside, touch some grass, stop watching anime,
I think the
clean
thing
your
that-
room. Oh no, wait.
I think the thing that's making me reflect here is that when we've watched other fascists, John Doyle comes to mind. There's an attempt at an argument. Sometimes it's word salad, but often I'm like, there's an element in which I'm like, you're putting words in newer combinations that I have not heard before. You know what? There's an attempt at something, okay? There's no attempt here. This is just them being like, nice toque. Like
The guy,
there's
the guy
no
on the
defense
guy
of
on the
Jordan
left,
Peterson here.
the guy on the left just looks so emotionally involved, like so emotionally attached to all of that he's like learned.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson would never wear a dorky ass hat.
I want that emote.
I remember I posted this to YouTube. I found it on TVO, and then all of a sudden everyone like knew about it. And part of me was always like, I was the one who brought it to the light, but it was probably just everyone converged on finding the clip at the same time. But this is the one where at the end of it he talks about his son throwing a snowball or some shit. What a special guy! What a special guy!
Only men do that.
Yeah.
Bill C16, see?
Oh god. God, the Queen was there, just hanging out.
Other people.
Yeah. You've seen Peterson's room.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the kind of
Actually,
Peterson rooms I do enjoy, where it's like, but it doesn't really mock his ideology though, because it's kind
No,
of
it doesn't.
You have to be an idiot to not understand
No.
the point. And it's like, yes, you should start with yourself. That's the point of cleaning your room.
Yeah, I mean, I was
So they're acknowledging the fact that memes exist that show that Jordan Peterson has a messy room. And they're aware that this might seem like a contradiction, but rather than explaining why it's not actually a contradiction, they just say it's not actually a contradiction because you just, if you think it's a contradiction, it's just because you don't know what Jordan Peterson is actually trying to say there. Convinced? Are we convinced?
Yep. I understand.
And, you know, it does actually go against what Jordan Peterson says, in part because Jordan Peterson tours around the world telling other people how they should or should not behave. Yet his room is messy, which was the whole point of that metaphor in his 12 rules for life, was like, maybe you should sort yourself out before you go telling other people what to do. So Jordan Peterson, maybe you too should sort yourself out. Mr. Benzo in a coma, messy room person, maybe you should figure your shit out first before touring the world and telling other people what to do with their lives.
Or maybe just do benzos and have a good time and have a fucking messy room. And just don't be a judgmental dick about it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say that like it's cool to like try and mentor other people as long as you like tell them that you're going through some shit and accept that as well. But obviously he doesn't accept the shit that he's going through and just denies it and like suppresses it and tells everyone else to suppress it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still contest the idea that you can be beneficial to society and not be very good at looking after yourself. I mean, there were lots of examples of people who are terrible at looking after themselves and doing more for the greater good.
It's a good place to start, though.
It is a good place to start, and there are moral reasons for it too. Yeah.
If you enjoyed that segment,
it's a good place to start. So, yes.
who is that man?
So this here is Sargon of Akkad. who we started this whole thing off. So when I first saw this video, this thing got recommended to me, and so I watched it. And then when I saw him appear at the end, I was like, okay, this is what we're doing on Wednesday, aren't we? And so I found a segment where we will go over it. But
can I just say that he slimmed down quite a lot. He used to be really chubby.
He slimmed down, and his presentation style, I want to say, is much more smoother. He clearly has gotten some like help in terms of like presentation. I will at least give him that credit. He still is a piece of shit though. And we any final thoughts on Jordan Peterson? This whole thing was just so vapid and silly, but the next one is not going to be any better.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.